morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, our viewers out there. The Uganda People's Defense Forces and other security agencies continue to thank Ugandans who are helping us to make sure that the directives and other measures that are aimed at controlling the disease are implemented. There are some areas that we still find challenges. We try to sort them out. There are some areas where, as security agencies, we have been helped by the civilian population to ensure that we implement the directives as they were put out by the Ministry of Health and indeed by the President of the Republic of Uganda. As you may know, UPDF continues to handle other security issues and other emergencies like floods, like the water, the island on the water, and other issues that you have been hearing us handling. However, in this particular case of COVID-19, the biggest challenge now is at our borders. And you know, as well stipulated in the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda, the protection of our borders is one of the core roles that the UPDF plays. Now with COVID-19, the situation is becoming a little bit harder than usual. We have put up all of the measures to ensure that our borders continue to remain safe, because we may not know who is running away from COVID and who is coming in to do other things that may jeopardize our security. We are therefore calling upon people who are at the border points or who stay alongside our borders to be very specific, especially two main borders, the western frontier and the eastern frontier. When it comes to trucker drivers, it has continued to be a challenge because our night patrols, especially in areas of Bibia, Atiag, going up to Nimule, Sudan, this side of Elegu, have continued to jump into these trucks. And when they realize that there is a checkpoint ahead, they jump off the trucks. We understand they have put up a network of communications that tell them that UPDF has deployed here, or Uganda Police has deployed here. This is done for the good of Ugandans. It is done for the good of the people who are jumping into these trucks. It makes no sense for anyone to put himself or herself into danger. The same thing goes to the ladies who move alongside these trucker drivers for reasons that are known to this country. It continues to be a challenge, and this has been so common on the same side of this eastern border joining the northern border into southern Sudan. Several incidences are still coming up, but we shall put in all measures possible to make sure that this is handled for the good of their lives. Therefore, we call upon the people in these corridors or on these roads to continue adhering to the directives so that our country can fight this disease successfully. There has been incidents, there were incidents last night, Uganda-Tanzania border at Isinjiro between Indizi, Mbale, Kasumba, Kakamba, Chikagate, Rubogota, that stretch, where we have been having locals crossing, Ugandans crossing from Tanzania coming back. And on interrogation, some of them claim because of what has been going on, they think that this side of the border is safe, and therefore they have been communicating. So there is like forced kind of crossing illegally into Uganda by Ugandans who are on the other side of the border. So 3 of them were arrested, and they were arrested by our patrols there, and they have been quarantined at Kabahenda Isolation Center in that area. Then there are those Tanzanians who were crossing the other side also. We are handling with the security forces from the other side of the border to ensure that we jointly handle the problem of border crisscrossing. We have tried to cover much of the known paths that cross into our country at different points. It has been also observed that people are now opening up other entry points, which is very risky. We are having armed troops in those borders, and they will not hesitate to shoot at anyone at any time of the night, especially at night, because you can't know the person who is approaching. So if we get fatalities in that side, it will not be really the security forces to blame, but the people who are not hearing the directives and what they are supposed to be doing. In Kampala here, the challenge has not been so much. People have tried to comply. Only that we still get incidences of pulling ropes with our mobile troops, with those troops which are doing patrols. But the people trying to challenge them. They tell you do this, you want to argue. And therefore puts our troops to risk and puts the civilian population to risk. We call upon the people to be patient. The Swahili say, Mutunji uvunjika mlangoni. That the pot can break at the entrance of, at your entrance, when you have carried the water from very far. We have carried the water from very far. Let us take our pot into our house so that we don't break it at the entrance. It's only 8 days remaining to get other directives from His Excellency the President. And we call upon all Ugandans to be patient and to be persevering so that we go through this dilemma. There are some incidences in some areas that we think have been caused by other issues outside COVID-19. We have heard of the shootings in some 3 incidences. I think of recent, those ones were addressed, and we continue to put all measures to make sure that we find also other reasons as to why some of the shootings have been happening, and unfortunately they have been coming from the security forces, and therefore we are stepping up not only disciplinary measures, but also in UPDF we have put on standby our Department of Counseling and Guidance, which is a fully fledged directorate to make sure that some of our security forces, especially the auxiliary forces that have not been fully benefiting from these counseling services, benefit, so that we don't have to have a double jeopardy, as they say. We are fighting this war. We don't want to go again into fighting the war of our relationship with the public. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Afande Akiki. At this moment, let's have Afande Baine also give us an understanding from the University of Understanding.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. As part of the ongoing process to mitigate the effects of COVID-19 in prison service, using the Prison Standing Orders Part 2, Chapter 12, that is informed by Civil Procedures Act Cap 71.55, Sections 42, Subsection F, and Section 43, Subsection 3A, the process to have all civil prisoners, commonly known as debtors, has started. In details, the standing orders permit the Commissioner General, upon information to court, to release prisoners in case there is an epidemic or quarantine, and also if those who committed the debtors or civil prisoners to court have not remitted their subsistence allowance. And as I said, this one is informed by the Civil Procedures Act, whereby Section 42 emphasizes failure to pay subsistence allowance, and Section 43 allows release of prisoners in case of disease or epidemic. So the process is on, and we have a total of 400 debtors. When the process is finalized, I will get to you and inform you accordingly. 2, food. By last evening, a total of 1,036,825 persons had been served with food. And of course, this is against the targeted population of 1.5 million in Kampala, Wakiso, and Mukono. I only need to give clarifications, because a number of people are calling me, a number of people are calling the army, a number of people are calling the Commissioner General of Prisons and Inspector General of Police. The facts are, procurement of food for distribution is a function of office of the Prime Minister, not the function of the security forces. 2, the mapping of the areas where food is distributed is still a function of office of the Prime Minister, not any other security, not any other institutions, especially security institutions. Therefore, the institutions are used as couriers to deliver the food according to the mapping and according to the deliveries made by the office of the Prime Minister. So anybody who has a concern about the distribution of food not reaching, delaying, please, the main actor to be approached is office of the Prime Minister, and not the security agency. Yes, when we get information like all those who have been calling me, I forward the complaint to the National Task Force for Food Distribution, which is headed by the office of the Prime Minister. But the decisions taken are far beyond the levels of the security agencies. I also have a complaint from our staff who are distributing food. Some landlords are very arrogant and uncooperative. When our teams are distributing foods to the tenants, some landlords don't want more than one or two people to enter their perimeter walls. Yet, anybody given food must be registered. There must be a mark at the door of the house where the food has been distributed. So we are requesting for everybody's cooperation. Yes, this is not an easy time. We all have our low moments, but kindly let's cooperate and do what is needful. Food for thought. Did you know that there is what they call charcoal briquettes? This is charcoal made at home and not charcoal burnt as usual. And how do we do it? You have the ingredients in form of charcoal dust. We have those who have cows, you can add cow dung and then soil. Most preferably clay soil. In the ratios of charcoal dust 2 kilograms, cow dung 1 kilogram, clay 1 kilogram. Mix as you add some little water until it is in a state where you can roll it into sticks. chop the sticks to the size that is convenient for your sigiri, dry them very well, and you have charcoal without having to run to buy these expensive charcoal of these days. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Afande Baine. Before we have Mr. Siminyu, let me call back Afande Aki. There are some two incidents that are in the report. Afande most welcome.
So there are some incidents that I think I should have mentioned. I got them not long time ago, in line with crossing of borders from different areas. Just a few minutes ago, 8 Congolese were trying to sneak through Utiaba. Our force there, the Marine Force, arrested them and quarantined them, and their samples have been taken. Then also we had UPDF Marines conducting an operation in Lake Albert, where 35 boats were captured and 69 fishermen were arrested and handed over to police. And this, the UPDF Marines are going to continue enforcing the closing down of some of the landing sites, as we may have heard. We started with 61 on Lake Albert and other water bodies. We are going to continue reducing on landing sites in those areas to make sure that we control in and out of different people from different countries. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Afande. Now let's have Mr. Siminyu also give us updates.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I would like once again to thank Ugandans for the good job they are doing in fighting COVID-19. We have continued to manage our borders with our stakeholders, UPDF, Uganda Police, and the local communities according to the guidelines of the government. We have an intelligence team that is conducting operations around, and you have already received a report from UPDF. I would like to call upon Ugandans, if you see something that is of interest, that you do not like, please report it. Report it to us. You can report it to Uganda Police, even Uganda Prisons, UPDF, or you can report it to the situation room of the Ministry of Internal Affairs, so that whatever you see around the borders that is of interest to us, we can follow it up. We want to manage the borders as one solid team, because as they say, we need to move together for us to reach far, instead of moving fast and then failing to reach where we're going. Ladies and gentlemen, we have continued to receive inquiries from foreigners about their status. Government will not step back on its promise to waive visas for those whose status expired on March 18th until the lockdown is lifted. So those who are making inquiries, calls, please just relax. Make sure you mind about your safety, social distance, washing hands, and keep at home. Because your safety matters, we want you alive. We will not fine you if your status expired during this lockdown. I have noticed that there are many Ugandans queuing up for services. In some places, they have put lines to prevent people from coming in so that they can come in a few numbers. But what happens now, when they put an obstacle, Ugandans, they can come and congest at the obstacle without observing the social distance. Please ensure that you observe social distance anywhere. When you are queuing up for services, make sure you queue up while observing social distance. Even if you are queuing up for food, please queue up, but make sure you keep the social distance good enough. The food which government is distributing just finds you at home, so you don't have to queue it up. But whenever people are going to places where they are serving them and they are expected to queue up, they don't mind about the social distance. I would like to remind you to do so. Face masks are now compulsory. We have seen a number of people moving without face masks and going to public places without face masks. Please ensure you put them on, because this is the only thing which will save you. In supermarkets, we would like to call upon supermarkets, those that don't have public address systems, to install so that you remind people about social distance as they are in the supermarket. But those that have would like to call upon you to use those systems to remind the people who are in the supermarket to continue keeping social distance. Because we have noticed when they go inside the supermarkets, they don't mind so much about social distance. I would like once again to call upon all citizens and people in Uganda to continue keeping social distance, washing your hands, avoid touching your facial parts, so that we can fight this war together. Today's idea of fighting domestic violence is that you should lower your expectations. If you're a spouse, lower your expectations a bit. If it is some of our youth, if you have been expecting a big loaf, lower your expectations so that when a big loaf comes as a bonus. But you put it at a smaller loaf. If we all lower our expectations of our people we are living with, even our neighbors, even our spouses, our children, then we will be able to fight, to manage our anger better and fight domestic violence. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Siminyu. This moment, we welcome Afande Enanga.
Yeah, thank you very much, our colleagues from the media, all those who are viewing us today and also listening to us. We'd like to welcome you to the 11th of May 2020, and of course it's day 6 of the third phase of the 14-day lockdown. We now have 8 more days to observe or to complete the 14-day lockdown, and encouraging all Ugandans and visitors that we need to jointly fight this virus. As a country, we still continue to register cases of COVID-19. We are aware that we got 5 additional cases, and this continues to increase the number of cases we have to 121. The recoveries are still at 55. The active cases are about 35, and that is still a high number. It calls for concerns as far as our country is concerned. Kenya, in our neighborhood here, also still has 401 active cases. Then when you come to Rwanda, 140 are still active.
And Tanzania has also 401 cases of active persons with the disease. South Sudan, 118. This still shows the threat of this virus within the region and calls for vigilance and observation of the guidelines that are in place. Now we are beginning our briefing with what's been going viral on social media about photos, images of women in Lira. Those images actually went viral, and a group of activists, including lawyers and female group activists, media activists, have really come out putting a lot of blame on security agencies in Lira. Now, of course, as the joint task force, we needed to come out and give further clarification. The chairperson of the District Security Committee, who is the RDC, gave a statement clearly indicating that much as these photos and images of women were posted yesterday in conjunction with the Mother's Day, these are old pictures of an operation which occurred way back on the 9th of April. Now, one of the journalists whom we work with in Lira, called Apunyo Hudson, decided to keep these pictures and brought them out after a period of 1 month and a week, as if these are pictures of yesterday. And I think that is irresponsible journalism and reporting, because you tend to let the public try to believe into something which is not true. Now, when we commenced our operations in Lira, we noticed that there was an uncontrolled setting with a number of hawkers. There were a number of roadside vendors, and even following the ban on some of the shops that were not essential, we still saw a number of shops that continued to open. So there were these operations that were carried out by the District Security Committee, and we arrested 60 suspects. There were 40 males and 20 females who were taken and remanded in Pania. Now, the journalist decides to hold on to these pictures of that operation at the time and decides to post them as recent as yesterday. Now, this is not okay. We are concerned about the situation of a number of vulnerable groups, including hawkers, including roadside vendors, and those who operate petty businesses and other vulnerable groups during this COVID-19. But you're also aware that government is trying as much as possible to come up with a calculated but inclusive arrangement of ensuring that people get back to their workplaces. There were those sectors that were where restrictions were lifted, and most of you have seen the response. Of course, there are added numbers, even of those that don't fall in their category. So we need to be very, very careful. We're aware that people need to get back to work, they need to get back to life, they need to get back to contact their loved ones, they need to get back to starting earning their income, a salary or wage. But we need to do this in a very responsible and in a controlled way, so that we don't find ourselves getting into a situation where we risk the public health and safety of Ugandans. So I want to call upon all those lawyers, media and civil rights groups that were branding themselves as advocates of the lockdown freedom over those photographs of Lira, that they should know that their actions are basically selfish. They're essentially selfish during this period because they are putting other people at risk. They should simply look at ways and mechanisms of coming to help some of those women groups. If they are vendors, we see how to come out to help them instead of encouraging them, instead of advocating for lockdown freedom, which can basically affect the health and safety of other people. Our media outlets in Lira, of course, distorted the facts, and we are not happy with what they did of coming out to misinform the public at this stage. Therefore, we want to correct that narrative that was being fabricated. We know that there is no freedom that was being violated. The persons who were arrested for flouting the guidelines that were in place. And for that matter, they were remanded. Eventually, they were cautioned. So if we are advocating for any form of lockdown freedom, whether you're a lawyer, you're a media activist, or a civil rights activist, you should ensure that you do it where there are no consequences or negative impact. There are those who want as many people to get back to their workplaces. But have you put in place the safeguards at this stage to ensure that there is no, which ensures that there is no virus within the community? Those safeguards are not yet there. Even now, when you go out on the streets, you're going to see that a majority of the people who are getting to flock the city are not putting on facial masks. They are not observing physical or social distancing as they move. So what are we advocating for when the safeguards are actually not there? We really need to, as much as possible, get down to the public and inform them of the dangers of this virus. Remember, there are thousands at the world stage, above 1 million who have died, including medical workers, all forms of categories. So we need to be very, very careful. Government is slowly opening up the economy, and we know that even the other businesses that are not open will be open as we get along. So during the week, a total of 44 incidents were registered throughout the country compared to 54 cases in the previous week. A total of 502 persons were arrested for commission of various offenses, and we attribute this decrease probably to compliance by the public and also vigilance by members of the public and security agencies. The criminal offenses during the week led to the death of 23 persons and 10 got injured. 60 motorcycles were impounded for illegal transportation of passengers and movement during curfew hours. 10 motor vehicles were also impounded for the same. We had incidents involving COVID relief items, where incidents of selling relief food by the business community and illegal distribution of food still continues. We had the case of illegal sale of COVID-19 relief food by a businesswoman in Ishaka, Bushenyi, and we want to come out to name and shame the person. This was at Nyamiko Cell, Mazinga Ward, Nyakabiri's division, where one Najuna Allen, 45 businesswoman, was arrested from her shop selling COVID-19 relief maize flour, which was branded. This followed a tip-off by one of the residents who cited her with 40 kilograms of maize flour in 8 bags of 5 kilograms each. She's being detained at Bushenyi police station, and we warn those who are interested in doing the same. In Butareja, we had a demonstration by some youth over the alleged inadequacy in supply of relief food. This was at around 10, where a section of youth, especially border operators, poured maize flour along the Butaleja and Mbale Road, which had been supplied to them by the district COVID-19 task force. The group had asked their woman member of parliament, had accused their woman member of parliament for distributing to them 7 bags of maize flour which they deemed insufficient. Of course, we had to intervene because the method they were using is one that is prohibited during this period. 3 suspects, that is Wasiga Amoga, Mwicha Henry, and Wasiga Rashid, were arrested. We also had other incidents that we did register. There was a case of a Congolese refugee who died during an enforcement that occurred at New Hope Village. This is in Nachival refugee settlement in Isingiro. One called Gahutu Fred, a Congolese refugee, died on the way to Mbarara Hospital following injuries which he sustained when he jumped off the vehicle in an attempt to evade arrest. The vehicle was carrying passengers in violation of the guidelines in place. And in the process, when he tried to jump off, he hit his head and succumbed to the injuries during the process. Then we had a police constable who shot and injured a civilian during curfew enforcement in Mukoni municipality. This was along Katosi Road, that is Namumira Ward, where one called Mutasiga Eric, 28-year-old, was shot at and injured on the left side by our officer called Mukisha Isma. The residents, of course, we are trying to obstruct the arrest of one called Mugendo Ari. Police had gone in to take this arrest, and the other members of the community came out to try and block the officer together with others. Now, one called Mutasiga Eric went to the extent of removing the ignition key from the officer's motorcycle and incited residents who felt exposed that the officer is not in the station. So you can imagine this was something that was provocative, and we want our members of the community to abide by the laws of this country and also respect officers who have come and also assist. We also had an incident continue to register incidents of illegal transportation of passengers. Some drivers of cargo vehicles, especially those carrying farm produce, did notice that they carry extra passengers.
persons whom they entrust with their children, juvenile, cases where neighbors and some family members take advantage of the young girls and abuse them sexually. I remember during the course of the week, we talked about a 13-year-old female juvenile who was taken advantage of by one of the neighbors under the guise of going to pick white ants at midnight. Remember that story? We shared it with you here. But the one I want to talk about today is another case of aggravated defilement of a 6-year-old female juvenile by a stepfather. One called Okujjako. Now this matter was reported by the victim, by the mother to the victim, who is a resident of Chamukama village, Chai Parish, Mabisab County in Gomba district. Now it so happened that one called Okujjako, sometime in November 2019, was caught having unlawful sexual intercourse with a baby of about 1 year old. And this matter was not reported. Now, the details were made, the complaint and so her daughter Lindsay, she asked the victim to ensure that she had been filed for the suspect this case while the mother was away. So we got the complaint, managed to arrest
over very minor issues or omissions by children within the home. And we want to advise parents to be very cautious when punishing their children. Punishing does not mean that you should really come out hard on children. You can continue talking to them, identifying the mistakes, and see how to correct them in a holistic way. Last week, that is at Binanata, a village in Chitumba Parish, Fort Poto municipality, one called Kemigisha Jane, a 20-year-old mother, beat up his son, one Musa Marvin, and burned him by dropping hot substance from a burning plastic cup. Now, this is torture. The boy had removed a memory card from a radio, these radios with memory card, and misplaced it, which severely angered the mother, and went to the extent of dropping hot plastic onto the son. We managed to intervene and took the son to hospital. We've also arrested the mother and are charging her for causing grievous harm, if not for torturing her own son. Matters arising out of domestic violence and land wrangles. During this period, we registered 15 cases of death arising out of domestic violence and land wrangles. 3 were injured, and so on. But one of those cases is one of murder by strangulation of 3 family members by a father in Nakawa division. You are aware of that case of Yasin, the border operator, who strangled to death his wife Nambozo Karo, 25 years, with his 2 sons, Shaban and Musa. We managed to track him down, arrested him. He's detained at Ginger Road. We shall be charging him on 3 counts of murder. Then there are clashes also between families over domestic violence. We registered one, that is in Serere, where one Otim Patrick, 46, after he was assaulted by his brother-in-law, one called Okujjako Moses, when he had gone to reconcile his wife, one called Atipo Petua, after a domestic wrangle. A fight ensued between the two in-laws. This one was following the wife at the in-laws. Instead, a fight ensued between the two parties, and Otim Patrick was rushed to Apapai Health Center with injuries which led to his death. Now, this led to a retaliation and a revenge attack where the relatives of the deceased attacked the family of the in-law, Okujjako Moses. They looted unspecified number of livestock and other valuables. During the incident, another attacker or another Ugandan, Oguti Lazario, 36 years, was also killed during the revenge attack, while many others sustained injuries. We have dispatched our field force teams and have managed to restore sanity in the area, and also are trying as much as possible to identify all those parties that were involved in this fatal clash and get to have them charged for the murder of those ones who actually died. Then we had a murder of a housewife by the husband and abandonment of a 3-month baby. Now this occurred last week also on the 5th of May, where a child of about 3 to 4 months old was found abandoned by the police. This was at Lulumbu zone in Okujjako. The child was recovered and placed in custody of a Good Samaritan, and the hunt for the father was later done. We managed to track him down, and he was found to be Amajje Jackson, the one who had abandoned his 3 to 4 month old child. When we arrested him, he alleged that the mother of the baby had disappeared and abandoned the child with him. But when we interrogated him further and went to search his home, we found when the Amukama had actually murdered the mother of the baby, wrapped her in a blanket, and covered her body with grass within the house where he was staying. So we are now charging him with murder and also with neglect. Then in Mutungo village, we had the murder of a female adult for refusing to accept a love relationship proposal. This one occurred in Matinde Sabagavo when one Namkose Zauja, 22-year, was stabbed to death by one Kalunji Richard, a 35-year-old male adult. Kalunji had ever approached Namkose Zauja for a love affair which he turned down, an act which prompted Kalunji to attack and kill her. He was also attacked by a mob and also lynched to death. Then in Chitonzi Kamwenge Town Council, one Katushabe Margaret was murdered by her husband as a result of domestic violence. It so happened that she was hacked to death by Biriomu Misho Wilson following a domestic misunderstanding. In Mubende municipality, that is at Chirunji B village, second ward, one Nagawa Dorin, 18-year-old, and Makumi Ben, 10-year, were cut to death by one called Sewanyana Saddam, a 30-year-old man friend. Sewanyana was in a love affair with the mother to the duo, that is Namukwaya Josephine, who broke up with her. This was after probably him finding, after he tested HIV positive, while she tested negative. On the fateful day, Namkwaya Josephine, the mother of Nagawa Dorin and Makumbi Ben, spent a night at her saloon in a bid to avoid the threats from Sewanyana Saddam, which infuriated the man friend. So Sewanyana invited Nagawa Dorin of 18 years and Makumbi Ben to his home, saying that he was sick and needed care, and the two actually went there. What is painful is that Sewanyana later picked a panga and hacked the duo to death, and thereafter set the house ablaze, also killing himself. So these are issues of violence within our community. It really shows you some of those cases that we are registering. During the week, we saw 460 people who were found violating the presidential directives on COVID-19. 105 were arrested from Mukono Central Business District for operating businesses not supposed to open. 46 motorcycles and 8 vehicles were impounded. The offenses rotated around those who were found drinking in bars, moving during curfew hours, and illegal operation of businesses. You remember that towards the end of last week on Friday, we also did an operation within Kampala Metropolitan, and we rounded up 506 suspects, including hawkers, roadside vendors, and those with petty businesses, plus others who were found loitering without reasonable cause. We didn't take them to court, but we cautioned them after talking to them, and we asked them to wait for that period where their businesses will be unrestricted, all the restrictions lifted, and then they get back to start work. So in Bududa Town Council, that is Soweto Cell, Buloli Northward, our joint security forces arrested 5 people. These ones were drinking in a local bar. In Zombo and Arua, that is by the Town Council, we got a total of 7 suspects who were actually found drinking in bars. In Mbale, that is, we got 19 suspects arrested drinking in bars. In Arua and Maracha districts, we got another 10 suspects, and we also impounded 13 motorcycles. In Bugisu, that is in Bulambuli district, 34 suspects were found in bars, drinking, and those were also moving during curfew hours. In Sironko district, 8 suspects were found loitering during curfew hours. Then in Ikulu, we arrested 20 suspects for defying the curfew. In Manafa and Mbale, we arrested 13 suspects. During curfew hours, 17 motorcycles were impounded. Then we went to Mitoma, in Kashasha village, in Yachishotua parish. We got also, there we got 6 suspects who had come for prayers in a eucalyptus forest. They had even erected tents there. In Mukono, we carried out a number of operations. 105 suspects were arrested, operating bar shops and other businesses. And in Karamoja, we are continuing to register cases of cattle rustling by the neighboring Turkana from Kenya, and intercommunal raids continue to be reported in some parts of Aswa and Karamoja. During the week, a total of 1,223 heads of cattle were raided, and the UPDF, LDU, and ASTU recovered 1,105 heads of cattle. The raids led to the shooting of 2 raiders and injured 2 others. Thank you very much.